We begin our journey back in time, peeling away centuries to reveal Paris at the height of the Enlightenment era. Below the towering cathedral stone, the medieval streets teem with life, a dense labyrinth of commerce, noise, and ceaseless activity. The bridges are arteries clogged with traffic, connecting the sprawling city divided by the winding currents of the River Seine. Near royal palaces, the air changes, filled with the perfume of wealthy aristocrats strolling through exclusive gardens and opulent squares. Yet, just streets away, the majority of Parisians live in dark, crowded tenements towering over narrow, filth-ridden medieval alleyways. The central markets are the stomach of the city, where enormous quantities of food arrive daily to feed the growing population. In cramped workshops, skilled hands labor endlessly, producing the luxury goods such as silks and tapestries that define French style. The divide between extreme wealth and desperate poverty is visible on every corner, creating an undercurrent of silent tension. The monarchy displays its power in grand squares, constructing monuments to glory while the city swells beyond its ancient walls. As night falls, the city seeks entertainment in theaters and opera houses, illuminated by the newly installed oil street lamps. Inside exclusive salons, philosophers and thinkers gather to debate new ideas that will eventually reshape the entire Western world. The river remains the essential lifeline for drinking water, washing, and transporting heavy goods into the heart of the metropolis. The imposing medieval fortress of the Bastille still dominates the eastern skyline, a silent symbol of royal authority and imprisonment. Coffee houses have become hubs of information, where citizens eagerly consume newspapers to stay informed about local and global affairs. Fashion is a serious business here, with elaborate styles and textiles displaying one's social standing to the watching public. Public services struggle to cope. Hospitals are overcrowded, damp places where the sick are often packed several into a single bed. Underground printing presses work tirelessly, churning out forbidden literature and radical ideas that circulate secretly beneath the royal radar. From the heights outside the city limits, the scale of Paris is breathtaking, a sprawling engine of humanity and industry. Sanitation remains a constant battle, with the smells and refuse of immense animal and human populations filling the streets. This is Paris at its zenith, a magnificent, crowded, and contradictory city standing unknowingly on the precipice of monumental change. The Golden Age fractures as a royal decree regarding grain prices triggers a cascade of unforeseen and dangerous economic consequences. Outside the bakeries, the lines grow incredibly long, with hundreds of anxious faces staring at empty shelves and closed shutters. In stark contrast, the tables at Versailles groan under the weight of exotic feasts, ignored by the pampered, powder-faced elite. Nature itself turns against the kingdom, with harsh winters and torrential rains destroying the harvests needed to feed the populace. Desperate families from the countryside flood into the city gates, carrying their meager possessions and seeking salvation that does not exist. Paranoia spreads as the Lieutenant General of Police deploys a vast network of spies to monitor conversations in every cafe. The first sparks of violence ignite as angry crowds storm grain barges, demanding flour to bake bread for their children. High within the palace walls, the king stares out at the rain, sensing a shift in the mood of his subjects. Philosophers now write of liberty and equality, their dangerous ink staining the minds of the educated bourgeoisie with revolutionary thoughts. Soldiers are deployed to street corners, their bayonets fixed, watching the silent, resentment-filled crowds with uneasy and shifting eyes. Tax collectors move ruthlessly through the districts, seizing furniture and tools from those who can no longer pay the crown's dues. Scandals involving diamond necklaces and royal infidelity shatter the reputation of the queen, fueling the hatred of the common people. In the shadows of the markets, men gather with clenched fists, their eyes communicating a shared anger that needs no words. The ancient cemeteries overflow, spreading disease and a foul stench through the air, a grim reminder of the city's mortality. The nobility distract themselves with high-stakes gambling, losing fortunes in a single night while the streets outside starve slowly. Secret societies and Masonic lodges meet behind closed doors, planning a future where kings and clergy no longer hold absolute power. Merchants are accused of hoarding grain in hidden warehouses to drive up prices, making them targets for the mob's fury. Seditious pamphlets mocking the monarchy appear on walls overnight, torn down by guards, but read by thousands before the sunrise. Dark storms roll over the Louvre, the thunder mirroring the growing rumble of discontent rising from the cobblestones below. The tension snaps tight as a silent standoff begins between the royal Swiss guards and a growing ocean of citizens. The spark finally catches, turning the simmer of discontent into a raging inferno that consumes the ancient regime completely. A young journalist leaps onto a table, brandishing pistols and silently urging the gathered crowd to take up arms immediately. Smoke rises from the city borders as the hated tax barriers are torched by mobs refusing to pay another so. At the Invalids' Hospital, thousands of citizens swarm the cellar, seizing 30,000 muskets to defend themselves against the army. The attention turns to the east, where the massive towers of the Bastille loom, blocking the sun and the future. Cannon smoke fills the faubourg as the fortress guns fire upon the people, turning the cobblestones slick with fresh blood. Inside the stone walls, the veteran garrison looks down in terror at the endless sea of furious humanity below. The heavy drawbridge crashes down, its chains severed by hatchets, allowing the tidal wave of revolution to flood the courtyard. Centuries of absolute royal authority crumble in a single afternoon as the governor is seized by the unstoppable angry mob. Men, women, and children immediately begin tearing the fortress apart with their bare hands, dismantling the symbol of their oppression. The chaos spreads beyond the city walls as peasants burn feudal contracts and chateaus in a frenzy called the Great Fear. Thousands of market women march through driving rain to Versailles, dragging cannons and demanding bread directly from the frightened king. The royal family is forced back to Paris, their carriage surrounded by a procession of heads raised high on pikes. The homes of the wealthy are ransacked, their precious tapestries and furniture thrown from windows into the mud below. Symbols of the monarchy are ripped from buildings and burned in the streets, replaced by the tricolor cockade of revolution. A new citizen militia forms to keep order, patrolling the dangerous streets in blue uniforms, led by the Marquis de Lafayette. Tensions boil over on the Champ de Mars, where gun smoke obscures the massacre of citizens demanding a republic without delay. The Tuileries Palace is stormed, the Swiss guards overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of the armed and determined Parisian populace. A new, efficient machine of death is erected in the square, its angled blade gleaming ominously in the morning light. Paris burns with the fires of change, a chaotic forge where the old world is destroyed to build the new. The revolution consumes its own children, as the execution lists grow longer and the cobblestones turn permanently red with blood. The Place de la Revolution becomes a theater of death, where thousands watch the sharp blade fall in terrifying silence. In the damp shadows of the conciergerie, the condemned wait for the sound of the tumbrils, stripped of all hope. Violence breeds more violence, as radical leaders are assassinated in their homes, becoming martyrs for a cause that is curdled. The terror finally collapses in upon itself, ending with the silence of Robespierre and a sudden, collective exhale of relief. Survivors emerge from the darkness into a period of decadent excess, wearing wild fashions to mock the death they escaped. On the horizon, a new order rises, not from the politicians, but from the disciplined ranks of the Revolutionary Army. A young general seizes the moment, using bayonets to clear the halls of democracy and establish a new authoritarian power. The royal palaces are transformed into public museums, inviting the common citizen to own the treasures once reserved for kings. Science attempts to order the chaos, imposing a new logical system of weights and measures upon the confused marketplaces. The great cathedrals, stripped of their saints and altars, stand as hollow shells, repurposed as temples to reason and grain. Below the streets, the bones of millions are stacked neatly, a silent empire of the dead supporting the city above.